Welcome to the Navigator podcast.
Welcome to the Navigator Module 14, Succession Planning and Next Generation Development. With me today is Chris Miller, Executive Director of PS&I Global Alliance, with a footprint of integrators, vendors, and solution providers spanning 6 continents. So I know you're working on Antarctica. You'll be there sometime. So Chris, the Global Alliance members have 188 offices in 49 countries. That's a broad reach, so congratulations.
Thank you.
With all the companies, I would think the topics of both succession planning and next generation development are consistent conversations. When I think of succession planning, I see it like several forms. The primary being more of an exit strategy as part of an acquisition, whether you're acquiring someone or someone's acquiring you. The second being how to really develop the next layer of management so we can grow both the company's maturity and sustainability. What do you see as the primary concerns that you hear about from your Global Alliance members regarding those two kind of interrelated topics?
Yeah, Brad, I think you're spot on. I see 3 common themes that tend to come up, and they tend to come up around the world. So this is not a North American phenomenon, if you will. First, exit strategy. You're spot on. How to position a company to be an attractive acquisition. Key personnel is really crucial to that overall consideration, and it's not always considered in the asset column that is part of your company value, but it should be, and it's always overlooked. The second is remaining in a company as an investor, the bank, if you will, but not part of daily active decisions. I've been through this one. This requires building out a layer of next level management early on, not just 3 weeks, 4 weeks before you decide to go to pasture. When the recruiting and the talents need to be done long in advance. It also requires a level of confidence and maturity and time so that the investors like the bank, are comfortable with the day-to-day shift in leadership. And that really is important when they make that, because they're investing in that future leadership as much as they're investing on your stepping aside. And really the third is the consideration or preparation in family succession planning. And typically the family members, they don't have the cash to take out the owners. And if they're not well prepared or respected by their staff, it can create its own problems, turnover, and permanent damage to the brand reputation. I've seen it many times over the years, and oftentimes the owner grew up in the company through on-the-job training, and so did the family member, and they didn't have any investment in formal training and next generation leadership. So it's really those 3 that seem to be common.
Got it. So you've built several companies of your own, and then you've been, PS&I's executive director for many years.
Yep.
How important is succession planning been in your role as that executive director in really coaching and mentoring your company, the companies that are part of your alliance?
Yeah, so, many of the owners, as I just mentioned, came in through the technical and sales side of the business, not the business side. My company acquired a company in the 80s that was started in the 60s. And the previous owner said, hey, I've always run this company's payables in the right pocket, receivables in the left pocket. It was a very transactional model, and being a good business person was not as important as being a good hustler. It was, and so, it's been over for nearly a decade that we've moved out of that transactional model, but, some have tried to keep that model alive. It now takes a new generation of leader that isn't just financially strong, but understands how to engage employees, and on and on and on. But it's something that we take for granted, that if we work hard at something, everything will just fall together. And that's not the new model of management. If you look at what private equity firms are doing, they'll buy a company that has strong leaders, but they also have leaders that are also very involved and can provide good counsel and decisions above them. And in many cases, these leaders are looking to move out of those roles by their own admission. That's why they wanted to exit. At the same time, the equity firms that are buying these companies, they don't need them long term. They have a new level of leadership they want in there as well, and they love for it to be homegrown as much as possible. Feet on the street,
So I mean,
homegrown.
Yep. When I look at the next generation, I always think about like, well, we should be talking about executive management, but I think it permeates really everyone, is that a succession planning is everyone ought to have a successor. And if I'm not growing it, I can't wish it.
Yeah, spot on. You and I have talked about that many times, and I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
What practices have you seen that really drive the successful companies that see that, you can't grow unless you build a successor?
Yeah, if you'll recall back in about 2015,
Yep.
I brought this concept of a new generation business class that I thought you of all people could really put together. And, we launched that first class in early of 2016. We launched it in Austin, Texas. We completed it as part of Infocom that year. And it really was built around this mini business MBA type program. One of the things I know that you've discovered over the years, as well as being in so many of our classes, was that we were holding our managers accountable for millions of dollars, and yet no one had taught them how to read a financial. And it's not their fault. It was not something that had been available to them. And not everyone is going to have a business degree, and we don't want everyone to have a business degree when we'd love to have them have their expertise in other areas.
Exactly.
There's a good balance in there of knowing how to keep that together. And, that whole next generation leadership curriculum was made up of 10, 12 modules. I don't remember exactly what it was at the time. But it gave them a very cross section. And I just saw the lights come on with so many of them, both at their level and their owners' level. Some actually were taking these ideas back to their owners and saying, these are things you need to be doing and we need to be doing together. And I really did start to see that success created as they started working together to bring those new ideas back. So great way to do it. It's still not as prevalent in our industry as it probably should be.
As a project, one of my, you learn from mentors both ways, good ones, and then people you're like, I'm never going to be like them. But one of my great coaches long time ago said, Brad, a good project manager is somebody who doesn't have to be there because their team knows what to do without them. And what I find in so many companies is that that owner / executive team thinks they have to decide everything, or thinks that they are the focus. And to me, how can I grow? And just like you're saying, how can somebody come and acquire me if I'm the one exiting? So what, in this pandemic and in these, troubled times or, unprecedented times, where do you see the importance of really elevating people up? And I'll just say to be able to think, but also to own like the vision, mission, and values of a company.
Yeah, I think you would agree, a good business pedigree has been very helpful to keep the focus on what's in front of us and not being dragged down by the paralysis of analysis and hope and denial right now. And as it's been said many, many times, there will be a lot of textbooks written about this experience. It's interesting to see that some companies have survived within our industry, have done very well. Others have been severely challenged. None by their own creation specifically. It could have been a decision to diversify into certain categories years ago. It could have been that They quickly made the right decision and made the adjustments in the size of their staff, and they scaled to their opportunities and kept their people very engaged and involved and did the best they could and didn't wait too long to make those decisions. It's all about timing right now in those things. You know, I think next generation development is really both a proactive and a reactive issue. It's not just for growing the business. That's a very proactive side. It may be to sustain or survive. You know, it may be to turn around a business, or it may be to take it in a new direction. I always said that the people that I wanted to hear from the most were the technicians and the installers, because they spent the most time with the customer on site. And oftentimes they had the most pure view from the customer's point of view. And yet people didn't listen to them near as much as they should. Now, it's not saying all, but some. The old saying, "I've never let a good crisis go to waste," you know, it is really applicable here. There were some real good opportunities here to make changes, to refresh your brand, look and see what you want to be as things change. But, you know, without a team that understands the concepts of good leadership and business principles, you know, the chances of survival are really, really compromised right now. It's a must, I think, to function with as much diversity and input. From a reactive point of view, if you don't invest in the next generation development, then someone else will, and they'll do it with your talent.
Yeah, which is right. Yep, exactly.
So that's really a very defensive, a reactive point, but a very important point. If you think that you can just wait it out, you'll be waiting by yourself. And so now's the time to invest. The more people that are on the same team that have understanding of the same numbers that you're looking at, that see the market the way that it needs to be seen with different points of view through the lens of different eyes, then they bring smart ideas to the table. No one person has all the ideas. And right now, we need all the ideas we can get.
Absolutely. Thank you. What so to kind of close, and I appreciate the conversation and the time. What business book are you reading, and what are you learning from it?
Yeah, you know, right now I'm reading a book by a gentleman by the name of Shane Snow, and it's called Dream Teams: Working Together Without Falling Apart. And it's really a good book about how to leverage diverse perspectives and experiences and how to fight with one another productively to improve results. You know, I have the privilege of working with 85 great leaders or more around the world that have very diverse backgrounds and experiences and, of course, opinions. But when you can harness that talent and work together, just like we were just talking about,
Yeah.
you can provide a very unique differentiator to the market. You can literally stay in business. And it's part of the basis of our strategic plan at the Global Alliance in 2021 of kind of rowing together. That's the term. You know, Patrick Lencioni wrote the book years ago called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yes.
And one of the key points that he said that I always wrote down was, if you can get all the people in an organization rowing in the same direction, you can dominate any industry, any market against any competitor at any time. And, you know, that you can't do that without the next generation of leaders. It can't be done in a vacuum. So
Absolutely.
That's what I'm reading now.
Great. I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Enjoyed it.
Happy holidays.
Thanks.